Are you considering becoming a videographer, but you don't even know what skills are required to start? You haven't gone to film school, and nor do you necessarily want to. You're just looking for some quick answers in terms of how do I actually become a videographer and what skills are necessary in order for me to be a successful one. In this video, we're going to go over various types of skill sets that you're going to need both in technical and in soft skills in order to become a successful professional videographer. Internet, welcome back. It's your boy Robert Teegarden here again with another video. Today we're talking about how to become a successful videographer, more specifically the skill set necessary in order for you to become a professional videographer. As a professional videographer myself, I got a lot to say about this thing, and as a part-time educator, I think I can help you figure out if you have and what skill sets you need to obtain in order to become a successful videographer. Let's jump right into the technical aspects of filmmaking and start talking about cameras. More specifically, the technical aspects of cameras. In order to become a successful videographer, you have to have an understanding of the types of frame rates and resolutions, all of the shutter, aperture, and ISO settings that are necessary in order for you to obtain the appropriate image in the way that you want to. Are you shooting things in 24 frames a second to get beautiful motion blur? Or are you shooting things at higher frame rate resolutions so that you can obtain slow motion effects? All of these types of things are things you need to be comfortable with in order to make the shot happen. The next thing you need to figure out is how to expose that image properly in order to maintain the appropriate image. Now, I've done videos on this, an entire series on what the exposure triangle looks like, so go ahead and check those things out if you want a more detailed orientation on what that looks like. But making sure that you have the technical aspects of working a camera down is going to be paramount in order for you to be a videographer. And once you have the technical aspects of the camera down, you need to move into composition. Specifically, how are you setting up your frame in order for it to be as pleasing and effective as possible? Now, a lot of things go into composition. Now, where your subject is in the frame, are you using the golden spiral and the 9x grids? Where are you placing them relative to the mood that you're trying to create? Are they left camera, right camera? Are there tangent lines that are going in? Are there parallel objects that are happening, repeating elements and leading lines all in your composition? All of these things create the type of image that you want your viewer to experience and feel emotionally. How you shoot, the angles that you place the camera in, where your subject is relative to those angles. All of those things are going to help you become an effective storyteller, which is what you want. You want your audience to feel something, and your composition is one of the first places that you start in order to do so. So making sure that all of those things are taken care of, balancing the frame, creating interesting and pleasing images is an excellent skill set for a videographer to master. Now, with camera and composition in mind, the next logical step, or really maybe in between those two, is lighting. What types of lighting do you need in order to accomplish the image and the emotion you're trying to convey? Where is that lighting placed within the scene? Where is your subject relative to that lighting? How much lighting? Are you controlling it completely? Are you using other natural lighting elements as well? What types of light and what color temperatures of light are going to give you the mood and the vibe that you want for that particular story? Again, all of this comes down to the emotion you're trying to extract and convey to the viewer. So making sure that you have an understanding of how lighting works, where it's placed, what temperature it's supposed to be, and how it's motivated is going to make you a much more effective storyteller and videographer all around. Now, this next one is definitely something that's near and dear to my heart. As you guys can tell, music and sound has played such an amazing role in my career. As somebody that spent over 20 years working for the labels and performing professionally, this is something that I really hold close to my heart, and it's my unfair competitive advantage in creating videos. You've heard me say it before, and I'll say it 1,000 times over. 70% of what you see is sound. Run that back. 70% of what you see is sound. And the reason that I say this is because we are viewing but also having an auditory experience where sound is concerned when we're watching videos. And so making sure that you understand that your sound design, your dialogue, your music all play an integral role in making the viewer feel and experience something, you're going to be off to a much better start than your counterpoints that don't take this seriously. So making sure that your miking techniques for things are proper. Are you using overhead or lav mics on talent? Are you creating soundscapes and using at-source audio whenever possible? Are you creating sound design by downloading certain packs and making sure that you have the effective sounds that you need to create the vibe and the ambiance that you're using? How are they EQ'd? Where are they placed from a sound and a stereo perspective? Making sure that everything's balanced within your composition, within your film. Those are all things that are going to elevate that experience for the viewer and make them feel the appropriate emotion that they have. I've done plenty of videos and tutorials on sound and how to capture and move things around, so go ahead and check those things out. But making sure that your sound is dialed is one of the most important aspects of being a videographer. Now that we have all of these elements in place, we've figured out all of the things we need to capture. We need to take them into a post-production workflow and making sure that our editing is on point. Now, the biggest thing I have to say about editing is to make sure that we understand that the story is the king. The story is hero, not some fancy transition pack that you're putting in there, not some crazy color grade that you slapped on top of the thing. None of those things make as big of a difference as the story you are telling. We've seen unbelievable stories just told and shot on cell phones, so we have this understanding that gear really is a relative concept in terms of the story that we're telling. As long as you make your story paramount in the edit, and the edit serves that story in whatever elements that are put in there, whether it's motion graphics, transitions, any other sort of fancy schmancy stuff that you're going to put on top of this thing, it's making sure that the story is held at the top of the pyramid so that the viewer experiences that first and is left with an emotional feeling that you're trying to convey from the editing side. And then if you want to spruce it up and give a little bit of flex, I don't really have a problem with that. I do that stuff all the time, but I make sure that the edit and the story is king first before I sprinkle a little, like, what's that, the Salt Bay Guide? Editing, make sure that your editing is serving the story, not your skill set. Now, all of these things are building up into you creating a portfolio and building a skill set that you could market yourself in order to obtain more work, or in other words, you're starting to build a resume. Now, resumes can take various forms. Obviously, there's the written one-page document that you've talked about in high school and college, but you also have your visual resume and creating a website and your Instagram account and the TikTok stuff that you're doing. All of these things are building a skill set that's going to hopefully get you hired. But some other things I wanted to highlight from where a resume is concerned. If you look at the top keywords that are posted in this article on ZipRecruiter, we see that things like graphic design, After Effects, and Photoshop are all keywords that are being put into job descriptions and job postings seeking videographers. So bolstering up those skill sets as well and getting some intel and some information in terms of how to become a more effective graphic designer and or somebody that's working in Photoshop is going to be crucial. In addition to those skill sets, you're also going to have to work on marketing yourself, creating proposals, invoicing, and all of the back-end business that you need to do in order to have an effective business that you pay taxes on, that you earn a living wage, and can pay yourself. Now, at this point, I understand that a lot of this information is probably overwhelming, and you're trying to just look for what the next steps are. You're probably in one of two camps. Either you have kind of a footing in the videography world and you're looking to take your skill set to the next level, or you're just starting out and you're going like, where do I even start with this? And I totally understand. I have some advice for you. People grossly overestimate what they can do in 1 year, but grossly underestimate what they can do in 10. And why I'm bringing this up is because I want to encourage you to just get out in the world and start shooting some content and creating videos. This is really where all of the things start to just go away, because work works when nothing else works. And putting away all of the anxiety and the motion behind, can I do this, or am I cut out for this, or all these different things, just simply get out into the field and start shooting content. It can be literally of anything. It can be of your boyfriend or your girlfriend, your dad fixing things around the house. It can be your mom making dinner. It can be any of those types of things, your friend going skateboarding, any of that stuff. And you don't need to be concerned with the gear that you have. Get out and start shooting things on your cell phone. But the whole point is to get out there and start making moves and doing things that you can learn from. When I first started out as a beginning videographer, really somebody that didn't even know what videography was, I had just recently left my corporate job and I started out as an e-com business, but in the middle of all of this, I needed a creative outlet, and I picked up a camera and I made 200 movies in 200 days, and they were terrible. But through that process, my friends that worked in production saw a couple different seconds, asked me to come on set, and I was able to, for free, basically intern my way into obtaining skill sets and obtaining gear. The first couple times that I was on set, I was just obtaining knowledge, being a helpful hand, asking poignant questions when the time was appropriate. Eventually, I was able to trade my time for some gear. Once I traded my time for gear, I mastered that gear. Once I mastered that gear, I was able to create more, better looking videos, and I was able to market those videos to different clients. That turned into my first paying gig. My first paying gig turned into me reinvesting into gear. I mastered that gear again and did it over and over and over again. And I came up with the term and the marketing concept of exporting every day, meaning I created a movie every single day, exported and put it out into the world, knowing that eventually over thousands of videos, I could finally call myself a professional and market myself to the types of clients I wanted to. This is a long journey, and making sure that you have the patience and the forgiveness and the grace to give yourself the time and energy and skills that you need in order to continue to progress and have a long career, not just a job, but a career that's going to support you in the lifestyle that you want. Right now is the time for us to do that. As creatives, it's exactly what we need, having the ball in our court, and we can control the shots, but you need to get out there and do the work necessary in order to bolster up what you and your portfolio look like. With that in mind, ladies and germs, if you like the video, like the damn video. I post content on a weekly basis on filmmaking tips and the business of being a creative. So if that's something that you're into, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, ring the bell for posting notifications. And with that in mind, this is Teegarden with another video in the cam. I'll see y'all next week. Peace.